Good morning and afternoon to everyone that's joining us. Thank you for your time and joining us today. Our topic is coronavirus, rethinking everything to enable today's workforce.
At Technology Source, we often refer to the elements of business success. This table allows us to quickly communicate the vast offerings we source on behalf of our clients. These range from cybersecurity, business optimization, software and applications, connectivity, voice and communications, marketing services, mobility, and cloud and infrastructure.
Good morning, Eric. Where are you joining us from today?
Good morning. I'm in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And today it's not feeling like Seattle, which is great.
Good. I hope you're doing safe and sound, and thanks for filling in for Ben. I know I have gotten the chance to work with you for over 5 years now. Found Effortless. You were a chief operating officer at a managed service provider or an MSP in Southern California and worked with Effortless for some of your customers, and then came on board at Effortless as an engineer, and now you're, I think, VP of Clouds at Effortless. Today, I just wanted to ask you, what are some ways that you're helping the healthcare industry, Eric?
Well, one of the things that we're doing, Sonia, is our core focus is around compliance. So as an IT company, the way to address compliance isn't necessarily all with IT solutions, but we're out actively looking to solve business problems. So we're implementing IT strategies and IT services in a cohesive ecosystem so that we can solve these business problems. And if you look at this slide, you'll notice that there's 3 segments. The segment to the left, those are all services that we're able to satiate as a business and as a partner inside our data center services. The middle section there, Wi-Fi and the network, that's how we're supporting the office's LAN or network. And then off to the right, these are third-party applications. And I think that this is what's so unique about Effortless Office is we're having to take in consideration all these components, not only the business operation and the ecosystem of the goals that they need to implement, but different physical assets. We're talking about our data center, which is an extension of their services, their physical network, their LAN, and the third-party applications that they need to run, operate, and function in every single day. And the goal is to understand, what is this delivering? So by looking at delivering an ecosystem, by looking at creating secured on-demand workspaces, what are you delivering? And ideally, it's efficiency. You're trying to make the operations of the business function in a manner that's more efficient. And essentially, us as a service provider, we're trying to take those IT operations off the back of that business so that business can focus on their healthcare. They can focus on their administrative purposes. They don't need to be in 2 businesses where they get to be in 1. And then one of the best ways of doing that is securing the data in a centralized repository. So with us being the data center services, us housing the data in our network, we're able to secure it in a centralized manner and provide decentralized users access to that data. If flexibility is through scale, I think this is really interesting. This is not just for growth. This is also when there's contraction in business. So when services and the number of users fluctuates in a downward trend, it's still a way for operating costs to be maintained at a lower rate. And I think one of the hardest things to do in this compliance era and trying to secure these environments, especially in a distributed manner, is how do you flex that muscle so that you can support all of these users and manage all these users in a cohesive way so that they get the benefit and the business can get the benefit of security. And ultimately, these are the core components as an organization that we're trying to satiate. We're trying to take care of their HIPAA concerns, And that extends, Sonia, as you know, to other components of healthcare like high trust and the like. And then what correlates to the HIPAA side of things are the cyber liability insurance that they need to maintain and adhere to. Obviously, many of these firms are also taking on payment for these services, so maintaining PCI is core as well. Effortless, we look at every single organization uniquely. There is no single path to this that is replicated across from company to company. We need to go in, we need to forensically understand what the current ecosystem is, what the setup is, where the challenges are, and then peel back that onion and rebuild from scratch inside of our own network, while not interrupting the business flow and operations that are currently happening in that business. Post-migration, post the rollout, we're able to run these types of analysis and scans. And this essentially is what our business partners, those new companies that are operating with us, are able to show their providers this type of risk assessment that they're being provided with through the partnership with Effortless Office. Talk about a case study that you and I actually worked on together.
Definitely.
All right. This is one that you initiated when we were working together. You want to kick it off and I'll support you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this customer, they serve a very underserved population of teenagers who are addicted. And so they're a national nonprofit and they're all over the United States and they do really, really good work. They were in the process of dealing with separating out from a large organization into individual organizations rather than staying a big group. And so that triggered their CFO to kind of look at their billing, and they were able to notice that it would be a lot of money to do the separation and that they were already being charged a lot of money. And so he kind of put out an RFP, a request for proposals, and I found this and brought in my team, and I was working with a team of partners at the time. And all we had to do was kind of look at what they had in place now and what they wanted. And it took about 3 months for that. And this process was really involved. It took a ton of engineering time. And they also had this issue where their email was down. That was a huge problem for them. Can you imagine trying to assess everything without having an email to get back and forth to people? But we did it. And they had been working with a large MSP, an international MSP that hadn't obviously been giving them the best service considering they didn't have email. So when we came on, we basically went through their entire concern list and then came up with this plan. And the plan was going to save each location about $50,000 a month. And so this is money that got to go right back into the programs for youth population and go right back into treatment, housing, and those types of things. So for me, it was a huge no-brainer. And I'm like, yes, just move forward. Well, it didn't quite move as fast as I wanted, but it actually took another 2 months after that. But after about 5 months of putting together all of the plan and the solution and everything, they moved forward to get all of their locations into the cloud and address all of their DR, business continuity. They had email as soon as they started working with us. So a lot of improvements right off the bat. But I think the number one thing for them was the cost savings. The concern there was the organization that was charging them was about $50,000 more per location. And by location, I think I mean state.
Interestingly enough, the big push to get them completed by the end of last year, a massive goal. And we're lucky to say that we did it. We were able to meet that goal. And as this coronavirus and work from home situation has occurred, these businesses have not skipped a beat. They've been able to distribute their administrative staff to at-home workers. They're only their essential care workers, and inpatient services are required to be on premises at these locations. And in fact, the success and the gratitude that they're exerting, they're coming to us now and stating, hey, we need you to help support us in a telehealth initiative that we're going to look ongoing because we're not constrained by this situation. In fact, we see growth opportunity. And being able to do that and maintain their compliance and save them money. And frankly, I feel like this policy has been able to help save people's lives, not just patients, but also the people that are providing these essential services.
Yeah, I remember one of the CEOs that we were working with was telling me, like, if their phone line goes down for an hour, you could have lost a kid's life, right? Like, and when I was, in every nonprofit that I've worked with, and there's been a lot, I used to work at Effortless, I always felt that sense of urgency and that sense of this is something we're doing to really help people. And that's, I think, part of why I'm really passionate right now is that what we're doing in this industry, helping healthcare workers right now and decision makers is amazing. And it's something that I know is going to benefit their lives immensely. The only other one I wanted to share, and this is more of a healthcare administration, but this organization was facing the concern of wanting to send employees to go work from home, in fact, all of their employees to go work from home. And they were able to do that. I met with their CIO, and I was there with an MSP that brought us in when I was with Effortless. And the MSP recommended us, and what we were able to do was virtualize all of their network, all of their servers, each individual computer. The computers went away. All of those were put in the cloud as well, using desktop as a service. And so Effortless basically virtualized everything, put it all in the cloud in their private data center. And then that organization, which wanted very private cloud structure, they didn't want to be in a public cloud, was able to utilize that system, sent all the employees to go work from home. And I've actually done a few presentations with the CIO at some other conferences because he was able to save so much money on just the annual rental fee for this Class A office space. Those are just some of the cool stories. If you want to hear more, we have a lot of really good positive stories about how Effortless can really change the environment for different organizations, especially for the healthcare industry. All right, well, Eric, thank you so much. What are some underlying concerns right now that's out there that customers may not have thought of, the healthcare industry, decision makers, and leaders need to consider?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing right now from a healthcare perspective is that a lot of solution providers that are not implementing services like VDI or virtual workspaces, they're putting their users at home with VPNs. And that means that any application that's downloaded from an EMR or EHR, anything that's downloaded to that physical device is likely no longer compliant. They're outside the domain, they're outside the network control. So while VPNs offer technical flexibility, from a compliance standpoint, they offer a ton of liability. And that's something to be just really mindful of. Unless that device is protected by an RMM and updated, and then when that device is introduced back into the network, is sanitized and that data is removed, Sonia, you and I both know that's shadow IT. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw that even before the coronavirus. We would go in and work with organizations that had a few home workers or hundreds and hundreds of home workers, just people who weren't working in the office, and they thought that it was okay. And when we started digging a little deeper into that, we found that the security measures that should have been in place under just basic cybersecurity hygiene wasn't being followed, because when you put that data in the user's hands at home, you're trusting them immensely. You're probably breaking rules. You're basically losing control of the data. But when you put it into an organization like Effortless's cloud solution, it's all in the secure Tier 5 data center backed by armed guards. The data is all physically located off of every user's desktops and applications. And so I think that would be a huge burden that is removed from any healthcare organization to not have to worry about those users that are working remotely. And I think there's also a little bit of confusion on HIPAA right now. There has been some talk that the rules have been relaxed and HIPAA is no longer in effect, and that is absolutely not true. There are some rules under HIPAA specific to telemedicine that have been relaxed. However, who wants to be the organization that took advantage of those relaxed rules, had a data breach, then has this, you're still going to have to notify your patients, you're going to have prolonged negative media exposure, you're going to have patients that no longer trust you, you're going to have first-class breach notification letters that have to go out to every single patient, and potentially fines, even though they say there's not going to be fines. So that's why my hashtag that you saw in the beginning is plan for the recovery, because I don't think we need to be doing these knee-jerk reactions right now. We will recover from this. There will be a peak. Many organizations will recover, and why not plan? As my water heater broke, I'm not just going to go get the exact same crappy water heater. I'm probably going to upgrade to a newer model, right? And so we're all going through this right now. Bad things have happened. Why not look at this as a situation where let's look at your technology that's in place now. How could we improve it and work to do better? Eric, I know the extensive reach that Effortless has on the EMR front. Do you want to just address that as well? Because I know a lot of healthcare organizations, that's going to be they live and breathe their EMR. I mean, that's where they spend most of their time. So it's going to be really important.
Absolutely, and that's one of the the most challenging parts of the EMR networks when the company's distributed is how do you access that EMR? And when that EMR is accessed through your typical client-server relationship, where it's housed in Effortless Office, but they're running a client on a local computer, that's not usually going to be a very good experience, as opposed to whenever that EMR is hosted in Effortless Office and the virtual desktop is also in Effortless Office, and essentially they're on the same network. So you're going to have an amazing, smooth, fast experience accessing it versus in a desktop as a service environment. And then in situations where that EMR is leveraged as a SaaS solution, where it's software as a service as opposed to a server sitting in a data center, you need a secure launching off point. You're still importing data, you're still taking data out of that EMR. And you need a place to be able to do that securely and safely,
right,
with multi-factor authentication. And we work with companies like Matt and Gary's companies all the time, where we're integrating voice platforms and fax platforms into these solutions in a partnership, because many of these medical centers also have contact centers. They have people answering phones. They have people needing to maintain that compliance.
I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the work you're doing. And I know both organizations have some special offers, just from a helping standpoint, helping your organization. So if you're struggling, if you're looking for any technology solution that maybe some that we didn't even talk about today, just reach out to us and I will close out and let Stephanie also close us out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sonia. So again, thanks everyone for your time today. We're going to make this portions of this recording available on our YouTube channel. Also, just know we're hosting these every week, same day, Tuesday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So feel free to join us again next week or forward this information. All of the registrations can be done from the same link that you registered on. So feel free to share this with whoever you feel like thinks it might be relevant. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today, and we will reconnect with you next week.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Join us every Tuesday from now till May at 10 a.m. Pacific Time for the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable Series.